All right, so today we're diving into uh, some pretty wild stuff.
Yeah.
Effective computing. So
Yeah.
get this, it's like AI that can understand,
Mm-hmm.
respond to human emotions.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah, you sent over a ton of info on this, and it's
Yeah.
it's like straight out of a sci-fi movie, to be honest.
It is fascinating to see just how far this is advancing so quickly. We're way past
Mhm.
simply, recognizing happy or sad faces.
Right,
AI is really starting to understand all these nuances of human emotions,
right.
even picking up on cultural differences in how we express them.
Exactly. And I saw in the notes, AI picking up on these subtle cues in our voices,
Yeah,
learning to read facial expressions like across different cultures.
like mind-blowing.
I know it's mind-blowing. So where do we even begin with all of this?
I think the best place to start is with the basics.
Okay.
What is effective computing?
Yeah.
How does it actually work?
Yeah.
And just as importantly, what are its limitations?
Okay, so let's unpack this effective computing thing. It sounds very technical.
It does.
What's the plain English version?
So at its core, effective computing is about building AI systems
Okay.
that can sense, understand, and respond to our emotions.
Okay.
It's really like building this bridge between the emotional world of humans
Mm-hmm.
and the logical world of machines.
So how does AI actually sense our emotions? Are we talking
Yeah.
lie detector tests or something?
Not quite.
Okay.
Right now, a lot of emotion recognition relies on these deep learning algorithms.
Okay.
And these algorithms are trained on these massive data sets of images and videos, audio,
Right.
all labeled with specific emotions.
Okay.
So they learn to connect certain facial expressions, tones of voice,
Yes, sir.
even physiological signals with how we're feeling.
So the more data the AI sees, the better it gets at recognizing, patterns and predicting our emotional state.
Precisely, but
Okay.
but there's a catch here.
Okay.
Even the most advanced systems, they still have limitations.
Right.
They can struggle with those subtle cues or variations in how people express themselves.
Right.
I mean, think about it. We humans misinterpret each other's emotions all the time.
That's true. That's true all the time.
Yeah.
So what happens when cultural differences come into play? I mean, a smile might mean
Yeah,
different things in different parts of the world.
exactly. And that's a big challenge for AI. A system trained mostly on data from one culture might completely misread the emotions of another.
Right.
If we're going to use AI in things like healthcare or education,
Hmm.
it needs to be culturally sensitive.
That makes total sense. And you mentioned limitations. Is it just about accuracy, or are there
Yeah.
other issues too?
Well, one of the big concerns with deep learning is that it can be a bit of a black box.
All right.
It works, but it's not always clear why a certain decision was made.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So if deep learning isn't enough, what else are researchers exploring to make AI more emotionally intelligent?
Well, this is where things get really interesting. We're seeing a move towards approaches that go beyond deep learning,
Okay.
including something called neurosymbolic AI.
Neurosymbolic AI.
Yeah,
Sounds intense. What makes it different
it does.
from deep learning?
So think of it like this: deep learning is a master of pattern recognition,
Oh,
but it lacks the reasoning abilities that we humans have.
okay.
Neurosymbolic AI aims to blend deep learning with symbolic reasoning.
So it's like combining that intuitive power of deep learning with our human ability to think logically
Exactly.
and follow rules.
By incorporating symbolic representations of knowledge,
Okay.
neurosymbolic AI can actually make decisions that are more nuanced and context sensitive,
Right.
especially when it comes to understanding emotions.
So it's not just about recognizing a frown. It's about understanding
Yes.
the whole context of why is that person frowning? What's their personal history?
Exactly.
What cultural norms are at play?
Exactly. That's why neurosymbolic AI has such huge potential.
Yeah.
It could lead to AI systems that are not only accurate, but also interpretable and adaptable to all these different cultures.
Now, you mentioned that personalization is key for this emotionally intelligent AI.
Yes.
What does that look like in practice?
So as AI gets more sophisticated, it needs to adapt to each person's unique emotional responses
Right.
and preferences. Imagine AI remembering your past interactions,
Right.
understanding what triggers your anxiety, and then tailoring its responses accordingly.
Okay, now we're getting into some serious personalization territory.
Yeah,
That's where things can get a bit creepy, right?
it can.
AI knowing us that well.
You're right, and that's where federated learning comes in.
Cool.
It's a way to personalize these AI models without having to sacrifice your privacy.
Hold on. I need a bit more on that one.
Sure.
How does federated learning protect our privacy? while still allowing for
Yeah.
this personalization.
So instead of collecting all your data in a central server,
Yeah.
federated learning allows the AI to be trained on data that stays on your device.
So my smartwatch could learn to recognize my anxiety triggers, but that data never leaves my wrist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a decentralized approach that protects your privacy while still allowing for that personalized AI.
That's actually pretty clever. But I got to say, honestly, some people might still find it a bit unsettling.
Yeah.
AI knowing your emotional patterns.
Yeah.
That, well, even if it's private data,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely raises questions. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's a perfect example of how we need to think carefully about the implications of this technology. As AI becomes more emotionally intelligent,
Hmm.
we need to be mindful of the potential impact it has on our privacy and autonomy.
Absolutely. It's not just about making cool tech. It's about using it responsibly.
Yes.
Speaking of cool tech,
Yes.
let's shift gears for a minute
Okay.
and talk about AI creativity, because I saw some notes about that and things are getting really wild.
Absolutely. We're seeing the rise of these generative models that can create content,
Good.
text, audio, visuals.
Okay.
That's not just technically impressive,
Right.
but emotionally resonant.
Wait, so AI writing poetry that makes you feel something,
Yeah.
AI composing music that evokes specific emotions, is that even possible?
It's happening right now.
Wow.
We're talking about generative models like diffusion processes and transformer architectures.
Okay.
These are being used to create content that taps into our emotions.
I have to admit, I'm a bit skeptical. Can AI really replicate the creativity and emotional depth
Yeah.
that we humans express in our art?
That's the big debate, isn't it?
Right.
But what's undeniable is that these generative models are creating works that evoke genuine emotional responses in people.
So the real test isn't whether the AI feels anything,
Right.
but whether it can make us feel.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so exciting.
Yeah.
Imagine AI composing personalized soundtracks for your workouts,
Okay.
creating artwork that reflects your mood,
Mm-hmm.
even writing stories that resonate with you on a deep level.
That's a whole new level of personalized entertainment.
It is.
But it also makes me wonder if AI can create content that triggers emotions. Could it also be used to manipulate us, like on an emotional level?
It's a valid concern, just like any powerful tool AI can be used for good or bad.
Right.
That's why it's crucial to understand its capabilities and have these open conversations about the ethical implications.
Right. We're not just talking about cool robots here.
No.
We're talking about a technology that could fundamentally change how we interact with each other,
Yeah.
how we understand ourselves, even how we experience the world.
Exactly. It's about exploring what it means to be human in this age of intelligent machines.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. The basics of effective computing,
They have.
neurosymbolic AI personalization,
Yeah.
even AI creativity.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
let's zoom in on something that really struck me. The idea of AI understanding the why behind our emotions.
Ah, yes, that's where causal models come in.
Okay.
They help AI move beyond just recognizing that someone is sad, angry, or happy
Mhm.
to understanding the reasons behind those emotions.
So instead of just seeing a sad face, the AI could actually understand why that person is feeling sad.
Exactly.
That seems incredibly complex.
It is, but causal models are helping AI make those connections.
Wow.
Imagine an AI assistant that not only recognizes your stress,
Mm-hmm.
but also understands that it's linked to a deadline at work.
Okay.
It could then offer help that's specific to your situation, like suggesting time management techniques or something.
Wow, that would be incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
But why is understanding the why so important? How does it change things for AI?
It allows for much more nuanced and helpful responses.
Okay.
Imagine an AI therapist
Right.
that not only recognizes your sadness,
Mm-hmm.
but also understands that it's connected to a recent job loss.
Right.
It could then suggest resources for job searching or coping mechanisms for dealing with that emotional impact.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
It's not just about recognizing an emotion.
Right.
It's about understanding the context and providing support that actually makes a difference.
Exactly. And this ties back to the whole conversation about ethics and responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
The more AI understands about our emotions and the reasons behind them, the more potential it has to influence our behavior both in positive and negative ways.
That's a powerful thought.
Mhm.
It feels like we're on the cusp of something truly transformative with this emotionally intelligent AI,
We are.
but also something that demands careful consideration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an exciting but complex landscape. We need to understand how these systems are reaching their conclusions, especially when they're making decisions that could impact our emotional well-being.
Right.
Transparency is crucial.
Transparency, ethics, responsible development, these are all things we need to keep exploring as we delve deeper into this world.
Yeah.
But for now, I think we've given our listeners
Yeah.
a lot to digest. Let's take a pause here and we'll pick up the conversation in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good. It's pretty amazing how we've gone from just basic emotion recognition to AI that can understand the why behind our feelings. But there's another layer to this that's just as mind-blowing.
Right.
And that's how this AI is being brought to life through something called embodiment.
Okay, now you've really piqued my curiosity. Embodied AI, does that mean
Yeah.
talk about robots with feelings?
Not quite feelings in the human sense,
Okay.
but we're getting closer.
Okay.
So embodied cognition refers to these AI systems that can interact with physical and virtual environments
Okay.
through a physical body.
Okay.
This could be a robot or even a virtual avatar.
So it's not just about AI processing information.
Right.
It's about AI experiencing the world in a way that's similar to how we do.
Exactly. By interacting with the world, whether it's physical or virtual, AI can learn and adapt in ways that were previously impossible.
Okay.
So think about it. It can start to understand cause and effect,
Okay.
learn from its mistakes,
Right.
even anticipate the consequences of its actions.
That's fascinating. So how is this being applied in the real world? Give me some examples of how this embodied AI is actually being used.
So one area where embodied AI is showing huge potential is in healthcare.
Okay.
Imagine AI-powered robots assisting in hospitals,
Okay.
not just with physical tasks,
Right.
but with emotional support too.
Okay. Interesting.
They could monitor patients' vital signs, recognize signs of distress,
Okay.
provide comfort and companionship.
That would be incredible, especially for patients who are feeling, lonely or isolated.
Exactly.
What about education? Could embodied AI play a role there?
Absolutely. Imagine personalized AI tutors that can adapt to a student's emotional state.
Okay.
They could provide encouragement when a student is struggling.
Right.
They could adjust the pace and content of lessons to fit their individual needs.
That sounds like every student's dream come true.
Right.
But let's be realistic for a second.
Yeah.
Are we talking about robots replacing teachers altogether?
Not at all. Embodied AI isn't about replacing human connection. It's about enriching it.
Okay.
Think of these AI-powered robots and avatars as collaborators. Assistants, even companions.
Right.
They can free up human teachers and caregivers to focus on things that require those uniquely human skills, empathy, creativity, complex problem solving.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about AI augmenting our abilities, not replacing us entirely.
Yeah.
But all this talk about robots and avatars still feels pretty futuristic to me.
Right.
What are the tech breakthroughs that are making embodied AI possible?
Well, one of the key areas is the advancement in sensor technology.
Okay.
These robots and avatars need to be able to perceive the world around them.
Right.
And that requires some pretty sophisticated sensors.
Okay.
We're talking about sensors that can detect everything from visual cues to subtle changes in temperature or pressure.
Right. They need to be able to see, hear, and feel the world.
Exactly.
Just like we do.
Yeah.
But it's not just about sensing, is it? It's about processing all that information and making decisions in real time.
Exactly. And that's where another fascinating area of AI research comes in spiking neural networks.
SNNs.
SNNs.
Okay, that's a new one. What are spiking neural networks, and what's their connection to embodied AI?
So imagine the human brain.
Okay.
Instead of processing information in this step-by-step way like traditional computers, our brains use these spikes of electrical activity to send information.
Okay.
SNNs work in a similar way, mimicking this biological process.
So they're designed to be more like our brains. That sounds incredibly complex.
It is complex, but that's what gives SNNs some unique advantages. For one, they're incredibly energy efficient.
Okay.
Because they only fire when necessary. They use a fraction of the energy compared to traditional neural networks.
That's a big deal for anything that needs to run on battery power.
It is.
Especially with embodied AI, where you need these systems that can operate for a long time without constantly being recharged.
Exactly. And another advantage is that SNNs are capable of real-time processing.
Right.
They're constantly receiving and processing information.
Right.
Which means they can react to changes in the environment much faster.
So for embodied AI, that means robots and avatars that can respond to emotional cues in real time,
Yes.
adapt to unexpected situations, and basically interact with the world in a more natural and fluid way.
You got it. And that's why SNNs are being seen as this key component for like the next generation of embodied AI,
Okay.
especially in applications where speed and energy efficiency are crucial.
Okay, give me some specific examples of where this tech is being used.
Sure.
What kind of real-world applications are we talking about?
So one exciting area is the development of AI-powered wearables that can monitor our emotional well-being.
Okay.
Imagine a smartwatch that can pick up on these subtle changes in your heart rate, your skin temperature, even your voice patterns.
Wow.
It could recognize signs of stress, anxiety, even depression.
Like having a personal therapist on your wrist.
Right.
That's incredible, but would that feel intrusive having AI constantly tracking your emotions?
It's a valid question. We need to make sure these devices are designed with privacy and user control in mind.
Right.
The user should always have the power to choose what data is collected and how it's used.
Absolutely. It's about finding that balance between innovation and responsibility.
Exactly.
We want to utilize this incredible technology, but not at the expense of our privacy or autonomy.
You're right. It's a conversation we need to keep having, which brings us back to the bigger question. What kind of future do we want to create with emotionally intelligent AI?
It's a future full of possibilities, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But it also has its share of potential pitfalls.
it does.
One thing is certain, though, this technology is advancing rapidly.
Yeah.
And it's going to have a massive impact on all our lives.
For sure.
You know, it's amazing to think how far we've come with AI in such a short time.
I know, right? It's mind-blowing.
We're talking about machines that can understand not just like what we're feeling,
Yeah.
but like the reasons behind those feelings.
Yeah, the why.
The why, exactly.
Yeah.
And now they can even interact with the world through these physical bodies.
It's really remarkable how quickly this field is evolving, and it's
Yeah.
only going to accelerate from here, you know? That's why it's more important than ever to be having these conversations
Right. Yeah.
about the ethical implications, the potential risks, the choices we make as a society.
You're absolutely right. We can't just focus on the cool factor
Exactly.
of the technology. We need to be thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
How this emotionally intelligent AI could impact our relationships,
Yeah.
our self-understanding, even our experience of the world around us.
Exactly. And this brings us back to that fundamental question.
Right.
What kind of future do we want to build with this technology?
Yeah. Do we want a future where AI is like, a partner,
Yeah.
a helper,
Yeah.
maybe even something that like empathizes with us?
Right.
Or do we end up with AI that knows our weaknesses better than we do
Yeah.
and uses that knowledge to manipulate us? I mean,
it's scary.
it's a pretty heavy thought.
It is.
But here's a question to consider. What if AI could teach us something about ourselves?
That's a fascinating idea. What if AI could help us see our own, like, emotional blind spots,
Yeah.
understand why we behave the way we do,
Right?
even help us become better communicators?
Yeah.
It could be an incredibly powerful tool for personal growth.
It's like AI holding up a mirror to our own humanity, revealing things that we might not be able to see on our own.
You've hit the nail on the head. That's what makes this field so compelling. It's not just about building smarter machines.
Right.
It's about using those machines to explore what it means to be human.
It's a journey with so much potential, but also with its challenges and complexities, and it's a journey we need to take together
Yeah.
with open minds and a willingness to grapple with the tough questions.
Absolutely, because the future of an emotionally intelligent AI isn't something that'll just happen to us.
Right.
It's something we're going to create together.
So on that note, we'll leave you with one final thought to ponder.
Okay.
If AI could truly understand human emotions, would it make the same choices we do? Would it love, grieve, hope, and dream just like we do?
Or would it show us a completely new way of being, a way of experiencing the world that we can't even imagine?
The possibilities are endless,
They are.
and the exploration is just beginning. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time as we continue to explore the frontiers of knowledge and technology.